I just filmed this whole video and didn't press record. Sorry, I just got a text from my mom. Okay. Anyway, so I guess take two. Man, I had like such a good intro and like blah, blah, whatever in the it was a graveyard smash. Oh my god, I'm all over the place. I hate it when this happens. This has happened to me so many times during 31 days of Callieween where I like don't press record, like what? And then I have to refilm the video and it's never as good the second time. Okay, so basically in this video I wanted to kind of talk about some of my favorite books. Some of these are textbooks, some of these are novels, memoirs, etc. I've had to read a lot of books in my life going through school. A lot of these are recent textbooks that I've had to read, and then some of them are just like casual novels that I want to read because I do like reading, as weird as that is. A book that I just recently purchased, and it's not really a book though. For my master's class I had to take the Strengths Finders test, and I bought this book. In it you get like this little access code thing to go take the test, and then it figures out your strengths and all that sort of stuff. My strengths were so interesting and things that I didn't necessarily think about before, and I just really enjoyed like reading this book. It's not a book, but I really enjoyed like taking the test and reading more about the strengths that I have and how I can develop them and how I work well with others or how I don't work well with others based on my different strengths. I'm a person who loves like personality tests and figuring out the way that you like work with other people and the way that other people work in comparison to you, and just all sorts of stuff. So I really, really, really enjoyed diving into that. Come on. Sorry, my dog is... Another book is John C. Maxwell's Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, and I think that this is a fantastic book. It talks about how we communicate in just regular daily life and daily relationships, friendships, things like that. And it also talks about a lot of like leadership communication and communicating like professionally and in that sort of realm. And I just found it to be very helpful, and I feel like I can, even though it's more of like a person-to-person sort of communicating book, that doesn't make sense, but clearly I didn't read the book that much because I'm having a very hard time communicating right now, but I can also apply some of the things that I learned in the book like to my job as a professional communicator and connecting rather than just like talking at and like kind of driving this whole like sell thing down people's throats. From the brand's perspective that I'm like doing social media for, like connecting online rather than just like shouting at them what I want to shout at them. Franny and Zoe, this book very specifically, this physical copy is like my child. My brother had to read this last semester for one of his classes, and so I let him take it to Pennsylvania. And I was just like on the verge of like a panic attack every single month that it was gone. I was like, oh my god, is he going to bring it home from school? Is he going to lose it? Is he going to destroy it? Blah, blah, blah. Like I was so nervous letting him take this book, but instead of reading a PDF online, he wanted to read like an actual physical book. Franny and Zoe is by J.D. Salinger, the author of Catcher in the Rye, which I also love, but I love Franny and Zoe more. It's covered in like coffee stains. Can you see like these coffee stains? And I've written so much in it, and like on every page there are paragraphs underlined, just so many, like basically like every line of this book has been underlined. Franny in this book kind of goes through an existential crisis, and she kind of sinks into this depression, and it's funny because both figuratively and literally, I was in the same place as her when I read this book for the first time. Where in the book, she is laying on the couch and she is sleeping through the entire thing. And I I was in that sort of state where like I didn't want to leave my house, I didn't want to leave my bed, like I just wanted to sleep all day every day. And while I didn't have the luxury of being able to do that, um, like mentally and emotionally, I was asleep. And I read this book, and like, spoiler alert, my favorite thing about this book is that it doesn't have a perfect resolution. The problems that Franny is going through, the things that she's mentally like battling, they don't just magically like, oh, everything's fixed now. And that's something that really resonated with me when I read the book the first time, and then it resonated with me again when I read it a second time and a third time. Like, every single time I read this book, I just connect so deeply with it, because so often we read books, fiction books especially, where our characters have a problem and then it's resolved and everything is perfect in the end and they live happily ever after. And I'm not just talking about fantasy, I'm just talking about in any realm of works of fiction, like everything is always resolved. And in this book, Franny still has her issues. She kind of has more of an understanding of what her issue is, but it's not resolved. She's still a mess of a character, and I think that that works so well with real life, because in real life we don't resolve our problems within the confines of 200 pages. We have so many problems and they continue on. And I am preaching about this book and I don't mean to. I really, really like it. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Read it. It's an interesting kind of obscure book, but I personally really love it. Speaking of existential crises, The Defining Decade is all about making the most of your 20s, and I got this book after Hannah Hart last year talked about it in one of her videos. I immediately ordered it on Amazon. It came in 2 days and I was super excited. I have only made it this far in the book out of this much because every single time I read it, I cry and I question everything that I'm doing in my life. And I mean, when I was reading this last year, before I had the job that I have now, and I was just a college graduate and I couldn't like figure out anything and I thought my life was going nowhere, I would read this book and I would call my older brother and I would just be like, I don't know what I'm doing, help me out, like, and I would just call him all the time. And I know that he didn't care to like hear me cry on the phone to him, especially because we never had that sort of relationship. But I think because he was older and he was like out on his own and like living his life and had a job, I was just like, please help me. Like, doesn't your job need a janitor? I'll come be a janitor. Please, I need a job. You know, I was just crying all the time. It talks about work and family and love. It goes over kind of every realm of life, and it's so good. If you don't mind crying your eyes out and going through an existential crisis while reading a book, this book is so good. Get it. Made to Stick. This was an important book for me to read. It was a required reading for one of my classes in my spring semester of my senior year. And this book kind of assured me that advertising was what I wanted to do. And after I read the book and I did the class and we did all of these different assignments in the class about creating sticky ideas, I realized that I want to continue to create sticky ideas, and this is what I want to do with my life. And yes, this is the realm of work that I want to go into, and this is my industry, and this is where I feel I fit best, and so that's what I wanted to pursue. You Deserve a Drink by YouTube's own Mamrie Hart. Mamrie's book is so, it's exactly the book that I expected her to write. It's well written, it's hilarious, it gives you little glimpses into Mamrie's life and her upbringing. And another book is Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. Again, this is a book that I've not quite gotten very far in because I've just been so busy. But I love Minnie's book. I love reading books like this, and like You Deserve a Drink, and I have Amy Poehler's Yes Please that I haven't been able to pick up yet, but these are like strong women that I really, really look up to, and I think that they're incredible, and I love getting these like personal glimpses into their life. So I just enjoy reading their books so much because there are like little tidbits of advice in there that, you know, they're like, yes, we struggled, but this is how I overcame it, or like, this is what I did, or this is what I learned. And they kind of, it's kind of like I'm getting advice from a big sister that I never had. And it's so great to read and like learn from women like this. And they're still so funny while they do it, even though they're giving you like really, really great words of wisdom. They're still like so funny and true to themselves, and I love everything that these women have done. I look up to them highly. This book here, it's so well written. I actually feel like I need to read it again. This is by Augustine Burroughs. It's This Is How, and it's a self-help guide to overcoming life, basically. Proven aid in overcoming shyness, fatness, molestation, spinsterhood, grief, disease, luxury, decrepitude, and more for the young and old alike. Oh man, I'm just like, I'm just flipping through it and I'm already like tearing up and thinking about the first time that I read it and thinking just, it's so good. It's so, so, so good. Honestly, make an entire video just about this book, but I will try to not go on for too long about it. Damn good advice for people with talent. How to Unleash Your Creative Potential by America's master communicator, George Lois. My friends and my coworkers, and probably even strangers, know that I'm obsessed with George Lois. He is an advertising god. I absolutely love him. I think that his work is inspirational, and his advice is so, so, so good. If you just like even take away just a few things that he has to say, like, you will be so much better at what you do. And it's good. These are all of the books. I hope that you will maybe like be inspired to go get a couple of them. I hope I have spoken well of them and that I've like sparked some interest. I'm not gonna hold those. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I will try to leave some links in the description to where you can buy these books online. And yeah, that's all. I will see you guys tomorrow.